And Shubhendu Ghosh now joins us from the newsroom with more perspective on the story. Shubhendu, how serious is this attempt at peace? Does the plan actually have workable goals on both sides?
Mark, looking at it broadly, it does. It does address the most critical concerns at the moment. First would be having ceasefire immediately in the conflict zone of Gaza, in Rafah and elsewhere, to ensure that the humanitarian crisis does not go from bad to worse. It is already in dire states. It does offer something to both sides. To Israel, it talks about the release of hostages, first the women and the elderly. To the Palestinian sides, it talks about the immediate ceasefire, as we mentioned, and also a certain roadmap for reconstruction as well. So there is something for both sides to ponder over. As you mentioned, Hamas has sent positive signals about moving ahead with this plan, but Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu is very clear about the goals in this conflict for Israel, and one of the goals is to eliminate Hamas, and that problematizes the whole issue at the moment. How do you then negotiate with an adversary who you seek to eliminate at the first place?
Yes, indeed, Shubhendu. How serious is that threat of elimination of Hamas? I mean, first of all, it also shows that Israel doesn't even recognize Hamas. How can it negotiate with a force that, with a group that it doesn't recognize? And it's also threatening to eliminate them.
Those issues do make the entire matter conflict complex, Mark. And it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu means what he says. The past nearly 8 months of the conflict we've seen, despite mounting international pressure from the United Nations, from humanitarian groups, and from their own principal ally, United States. Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli forces have been very clear about their operations in Gaza. As we speak, the operations continue in Rafah. There are, of course, these viral videos also of all eyes on Rafah, the growing criticism of if the response of Israel has been disproportionate. But despite all of that, Prime Minister Netanyahu, with single-minded focus, has been going after the Hamas fighters, and he says that will continue till the end of Hamas. That also puts to question what Secretary Biden of the United States spoke about, that Israel also has to work towards a certain roadmap, post-war plan, and that negotiations must happen now, without which the entire region would be thrown into chaos. So the manner in which Israel is approaching the peace plan, it does put into question what the days ahead would look like.
Indeed, Shubhendu, also there must be much pressure on President Biden to push this plan through. How is the U.S., the domestic political scene there affecting these negotiations?
Most certainly, Mark, the kind of push that we see from the Biden administration to be able to achieve a lasting peace is visible from this peace plan that President Biden has presented. President Biden, his leadership, his administration are under pressure as leader of the free world. Their perspective, the manner in which they approach this conflict, the manner in which they address the concerns of humanitarian crisis in the region are of significant value. Remember, this is the election year for United States for President Biden. This is a time when he would like to project the effectiveness of his leadership, the manner in which he can stand by his ally like Israel, but also nudge them into right action when the time comes for it. In that sense, it would be important for President Biden to be able to achieve the results that he seeks. Remember, the beginning of his tenure was marked by the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan, and the manner in which it was carried out brought him great criticism. He wouldn't want to conclude his tenure as president on that note.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Shubhendu Ghosh, for putting that into perspective for us. Let's get you the latest on the world.